Hey guys, it's John. So if you want to get to 10K per month, but you're currently stuck somewhere underneath that figure, maybe you're posting content out into the void and not getting any inquiries, or you're considering paid ads, you might have burnt a load of cash before on paid ads and you don't know which strategy is the best. In this video, I want to lay down a 4-step framework to help you decide whether the paid route is going to be better for you or the organic route is going to be better for you. And this is all down entirely on your current circumstance, your audience size, engagement rate, your retention, and your ability across different skills. And the strategies you're going to see in the next 20 minutes, I've crafted and implemented firsthand from direct experience. Experience helping raise $4.2 million for my clients over the last 4 years. And that's somewhat 400 fitness coaches getting to a point earning somewhere between 5K per month or 25K per month. So everything you're about to see is based on real life experience, not just in my business, but my clients' business as well. Let's get into it. Right, so the best way I can do this is break it down into 4 stages, and we're going to compare paid versus organic. But before you even get into that, we need to look at retention, because it's pointless going after each tactic if we don't know some metrics first. So if you don't know what your average client lifetime is, pause the video, look at Stripe, look at how long clients stay on with you. Maybe it's number of payments, maybe you've got it written down somewhere, but this is really important, more for the paid, because you'll work out if you're in profit or not, or if you can afford this option. But also it's helpful for us to give us some targets for organic. So my personal philosophy is if you can hold on to clients for longer, obviously you increase your income, you earn more per client, you get better results for them because you have more time with them, you develop better relationships which yield more referrals. I'm really passionate about this because it spends less time and less demand on the marketing, and you can spend more time coaching people, is exactly what you're here for. Don't lose your way becoming a marketer like if you don't have to. Just spend time getting great results and you get more word of mouth marketing, which is a lot quicker for people to inquire. Their word's more important than yours. So I really believe in like hinging everything on retention. So there's 2 numbers here. There's 287, there's 87. So the first one is the number of clients you'd need in a year to hit 10K if you had 12-week packages. So if each client stayed with you for 12 weeks or 3 months, you need 287 people throughout the year to earn that every single month. Or if you can hold on to clients for longer with a good framework and a good process and systems on the back end and laying the horizon with road mapping, you need 87. And the difference is 6 signups per week versus 2 signups per week. And it's quite dramatic. And just imagine right now what sort of life that would give you. How busy would you have to be to average at least 6 signups every single month? This is all based on sort of 150 quid or $200 worth ticket price, which is like, I've been conservative at the bottom tier of mid-ticket, whatever. Yeah, it's mid-ticket basically. It's not low ticket, it's not high ticket, but it's a very stable sum. So do you want to have to average 6 signups per week, or would you rather just average 2 signups per week, which is a lot more achievable with smaller followings, plus it gives you more time to do what you want, less time on calls, and it's just a more enjoyable way to do it. So based on this, I'm obviously optimizing for this, and if you want to help with that, I've got other videos on how you can increase retention. Go and watch those because they'll be beneficial to kind of help make the paid and the organic infinitely easier. So obviously I want to optimize for 8 months minimum. That's what I achieve for my clients as the targets I give them. So whenever they sign up people, they know that their clients are going to stay with them for at least 6 to 12 months, depending on the client who signs up with them. But I do this with every single person I work with. And if you need any help with that, you can book in a call below. I work one-on-one with people. I charge the equivalent of 2 to 3 of your clients' fees every single month. So I try and be as cost effective as I can to kind of help you guys get on board, get you into profit, get you those first 10 clients and upwards from there. Because most people are just 10 clients away from having a much better quality of life. And that is very achievable, either paid or organic. So work out what your current retention is, and then that will give you a figure and gives you a bit more information on what you need to do with each option. Once you've got that, then you look at your audience. Once you've got that, then you need to look at your audience size. So again, if you haven't got an audience, then you either need to get busy or we need to have an income to put behind paid. But appreciate the fact that not everyone in your audience is going to buy from you. Typically, at any one time, 3% of your followers are in the position of signing up. This pyramid is based on something called the Halo method. Essentially, it's levels of awareness. So the vast majority of the market is 60%. They're unaware they have a problem. If they have a problem, why change? They're not in the market to getting a service like yourself. So they're blissfully unaware. 20% are problem aware. So they know they've got an issue, but they're probably not researching. They've probably seen a photo of themselves they're not happy with on holiday, or a side angle, and they go, shit, I didn't realize I had two chins. Yeah, I need to do something about that. Maybe. No, I'm all right. I'll go out and drink on the weekend. I can still pull. It'll be absolutely fine. And then 17% realize they can't still pull. And then they go, right, I need to change. I need to do something about this. So that's going from aware to, okay, actively researching. And then 3% are like, I know that this Peter, I know that this person, I know Sarah, I know Kate, I know Mark, they're the ones to help me out because I trust them more, because I just believe they can solve my problem. So why I'm pointing this out is, look at your audience size. Realistically, if you look at the top 20% of that audience, they're the market. So if you have an audience, if you're currently LTV is 3 months and your audience size is 500, 20% of 500 is underneath that figure. So you probably need to look into expanding your audience, and you might need to look into elements of the paid route to get more people into the following if your organic content is not growing it of its own accord. Let's just say you have 5,000 followers and your average retention is somewhere in between these, in between 3 months and 8 months. Let's just say you need like 200 clients, and you know that, well, 3% of your audience fits with that 200, you'll be absolutely fine. So the reason I put this in here is 20% of your following, they're probably your active market. 3% are probably within a month away or 6 weeks away if you're really good with your messaging. And then the other 17%, they're probably 6 months away, or if you give them resources, which we're going to get into. So the top fifth of your audience, that's the people we're trying to find and identify. And if your audience is quite small, and we know we need quite a lot number of clients every year to maintain this income, then you need to look at, okay, how do I expand that? You can do both methods, but we'll go into that now. So with paid, okay, the prerequisites for paid, you have to have a good offer in place, because people who go through paid, they don't know you, right? So the only thing they're gonna incentivize, the only reason they're gonna come through and be interested in you is because what you have to offer. So you have to have a really strong offer, and you have to be good at positioning that. You have to be very good at sales as well. So when we look at both methods, I just want to be completely transparent here. Now, I have no ties either way. I've done the paid route, I've done the organic route with my clients. There's certain prerequisites for paid that you need. You need to have a very strong offer, because people don't know you. They're not in your following. You're a complete stranger. Why would they trust you? The only reason they would come through and show interest is because they have an interest in what you have to sell. So you have to have a strong offer, and that doesn't necessarily mean a money back guarantee. It just means you're very aware of what the pain point is, you're very aware of what solution you can provide, and you're very crystal clear in presenting that to them. So you have to have something enticing enough for a complete randomer to come through. And let me tell you, they are fickle as fuck, people coming through off paid. They don't owe anything, and they're typically the people who are about to duck out at the first sign of struggle. They're very flaky because they haven't been conditioned with your content, and they have no loyalty to you. They're not coming through for you, they're coming through for it. And that is makes this job hard, to be honest. So you have to have a really strong offer. You have to be really good at sales to convert the cold traffic and convert that cold interest. And you have to be good at copywriting. So basically, email writing, we'll get into the different forms of that, but creating landing pages, you have to have good skill here. And I typically find early on in the process, it's hard when you don't have experience. So paid typically is for people who are a little bit more into the market, a little bit more experienced. If you're just starting off, a lot of people probably don't have the budget for this, and they're organics. So I want to save you time and be honest with you, so you can be honest with yourself and avoid a lot of wasted income and time if we're not so strong on this, because this could be way more achievable for you if you just put your energies into the skills of content once you've got a bit of precision on the flywheel. So, okay, let's look at the actual costs of typically what it costs people. Now, there's 3 tiers with this. If you go straight in with service, so let's just say you do a video ad on Instagram and Facebook, meta ad basically. You can do Google ads as well, people searching on Facebook, Google, but most of the time it's on social media. So you're doing an ad, you're interrupting someone's feed, you're interrupting their story. You have to have a very clear message, and if it's straight towards your service, it's going to be more costly, because again, you're aiming for this bracket, not these brackets here. So you're aiming for a smaller percentage of the market, and that's typically costs more, and it's you're probably going to look to expect it probably costs between $150 to $134 to get someone on a call. That's pretty standard within fitness. And then, as I said, they're flaky. So these people, they're very cold. You're not going to convert all of them. So typically expect to convert 20% is a really good acceptable close rate with a cold audience coming through paid. And then maybe if you follow up with good emails, good copywriting, and then follow up the other people who didn't attend the call or took the calls, didn't want to go through, you have a good automation in place, and you can get another 5% of that. So 20% of the people who didn't go is 5. So 25%, roughly a quarter, which means it's going to cost you $500 to get a client on average. Now, huge nuance here, depending on how your skill. I've got this significantly lower for some clients. I've got this under $100. Again, once we've got the messaging on point, once we've got the offer, and to be fair, I know what works for their market, so we could put those words and the copy in place, and we were very effective at that. We had a good sales call structure. However, if it costs you $500 to get a client, you're charging, let's just say $200 per month, and you average 2 months with them, has been done, you're not making money. And if you're averaging 3 months with them, you're making $100, really not worth your time. So this is why I wanted to draw attention to retention initially, to figure this stuff out and to be realistic. And again, this is with good experience with those skills. So it can be a lot more costly than this, a lot more. Again, this is standard. So that's going straight in if you're advertising, like, look, sign up with me because I can help you with this or on this offer. You've got challenge funnels as well. So this is typically, how can I describe this very succinctly? Think, John. Right, 14-day sequence. So you sign people up for a 14-day challenge. And again, depending on your ethics, that's bullshit for a lot of people. You can't do fuck all in 14 days. But let's just say you're doing a 14-day challenge. People come in, there's an onboarding sequence that's designed to nurture them. They come in because it's free. Again, fickle. But people are coming into that, and then at the end of that, you upsell them onto a 6-week package, and then from there, they drop down onto monthly rolling. When you do that, you can actually sign them up for 6 weeks and include the monthly rolling on a free trial, which kicks in automatically. So there's good, smart systems, a way to do this and automate all of this, and it sounds really fancy, and it sounds, how cool is that? I can just go to sleep, and I can get clients coming in and signing up automatically, and like, again, it comes down to your skill at these, and how good is your offer, and the messaging in the ad itself, the video ad, is it accurate? Who are you attracting? And I typically find if you're new into ads, it takes a while for the pixel to gather data when you're doing Instagram ads and Facebook ads. And you have to invest quite a lot for a series of months for it to figure out who to send it to and what you're about and how you can best help. And a typical, I can't give you it's not a call really. So the best I could do with this, average around $43 to get someone into your challenge. So if you want to get 10 people into the challenge, 430, and it's around 15%. That's quite good actually. 1 in 6 roughly normally convert into a client onto the 6-week. Don't have much data if they continue onto the 1 month because it's very variable at that stage. So if you're looking at this, it's going to cost you $286 to get a client after the challenge. And again, that's probably into the initial 6-week incubation period. Then do you keep them on monthly rolling from that point onwards. So that's another way. Instead of going straight with service, you do initial challenge first. This can be very season dependent, but you can do outside of season. You've got to think creatively, what challenge can you do? Then lastly, you have a free guide. This is basically what a lead magnet is. You're giving away something for free to get contact information for remarketing purposes on emails. This is a lot more cost effective, roughly $8 per sub. Can get this under 5 if you're accurate and you've got a good offer. But to be fair, this is probably a good model because you're going to not only get your emails up, you're most likely going to grow your following. And this is a really good option if you're, whatever your target number is to get your 10K, depending on your retention, and your audience doesn't support that. This is probably going to be your best bet because it's cost effective, it's quite easy to do, and you're going to get people into a better chance to kind of get into the organics anyway. So to be honest, I really don't like challenge funnels. I think they're a waste of time because anything free on the end, anything free at the front in terms of straight into semi-service, I don't really like it. However, if you have a good guide, which is useful and practical, and then we can remarket to them, that's really beneficial. But if you're good at sales with a good offer, you can do this, just again, quite costly. So that's the paid route. When we look at the organics, it's obviously different. And again, what are 2 targets here? With organics, if we can look at, okay, 18 months with every client that joins. And if we can sign up 2 clients a month, that's our roadmap. That's what we've got to focus on. That's what we've got to engineer with basically your content and your bio and how everything looks. There's going to be loads of different strategies that fit into that and stack and attack different segments. Attack's quite aggressive, isn't it? Attract, that's much better. Attract different segments of that Halo method. But if we have a roadmap in place when people sign up, and if we communicate that in the content, and again, I did this with the client Lloyd, he had 3-month packages, basically 12 weeks. And then we just communicated the fact that most people can start a diet, but they can't exit a diet. And that's why they rebound. And the reason why most diets don't work, and the reason why the average woman goes on 8 diets a year, which is every 6 weeks, is because they've tried something, they don't stick at it, they don't reverse that properly, they rebound, they lose faith in the diet, they try another one. They're constantly looking for the silver bullet, but the thing is they can't exit. So ethically, we don't do 12 weeks anymore, we do 16 weeks or we do 6 months because we need to reverse people out. We don't like to we don't allow people to rebound like other PTs do who don't do it ethically, who know that you're going to put the weight back on and they're going to sign you up later down the line and you're not going to get any long-term progress. So things like that, we put that into the messaging. People would come up asking for 6-month packages. So you could do this off content and then you could do it inside of service with good frameworks and systems. And again, if you don't have a clue how to do that, I've got other videos in there. I've actually got a 8-hour course which includes elements like this, links in the bio, or if you want direct help, obviously you can book in a call. But if you can keep it on for, if you keep people on for 8 months and we can sign up this number, that's probably the main focus for us then. Okay, how can we get inquiries? What can we do to meet this? Every week, actually it's not even a month actually, that's a big mistake. Let's just change that. Every week, whoops. So 2 clients a week. What can we do to engineer 2 clients per week? That's our goal. So first off, we need to look at content because if we're not doing paid, we're going to look at organic content. We're going to look at posting like once a day on average if we can. You can do more than that to improve your skill more quickly. But what can we do to attract the right people, what can we do to attract the people with the problems that our service is designed to solve? So focusing on the problems, accurate on that, mentioning elements of service and the framework on how we turn up and solve that, then showing results that it's worked on other people, and repeating this 3-pillared program and repeating this 3-pillar strategy over and over and over again starts to create urgency, and it creates believability that you can help people with a result. Because look, it's not about being likable, it's not about building trust, it's not about being relatable, it's about convincing people you can solve the issue they have. So you've got to attract the right people with the right issues, and then you've got to show how you turn up and you've got to show proof. And you just got to do that on repeat. It works once you get accurate in the messaging. And then once they've done that, obviously you're going to go to the bio. This is where we revisit the model of, right, who are they? Which person, when they view you, are they the 3%ers or are they 15%ers? Or are they the majority who probably just don't go into the resource and they probably go back into this flywheel, to be honest. And that's not a bad thing, you know, I've left that out, but you could put there, trying to draw with a pen sideways is more than fun. They just get recycled, which isn't a bad system. And then, okay, so the 3%ers, and again, I can't count that, 17. 3%, well, if they're interested quite now, and they're quite convinced after operating and living in this cycle of content, they can go to an application, there'll be a form in your bio, get on a call, take payment with an automated payment provider like Stripe or GoCardless, and then onboard them as a client. Very simple, very straightforward, clean. And then off the back of that, you're going to have people who don't do that. So those people, typically what we can do is we can either get them, they're going to start appearing on your stories. You can use polls, quizzes, Q&As, rating scales, anything we can do to turn viewing into conversations. Conversations you can generally help people and nurture. And again, we can engineer this in a way where a lot goes towards inbound. So you're not messaging people directly. You could do it off other people's stories, but stories is a really good way to collect the hottest part of the market in your following. Whoever's watching every 24 hours, they're very informed. Start conversations with them. Engineer ways they can get into conversations with you with effective engagement strategies like polls. And then you can probably give them resources, or they can go straight to the bio and access a resource that you have with an email capture page. That's when you're going to email them. You're going to do this systematically, and then you're going to show the results and proof in those emails. And again, that's just another way to draw them back into applying with you. This is another tier which is going to work in the background alongside the stories, the communication, the conversation building, but also the content as well. That is a rough overview of the system which we're going to engineer to get us to that 2 clients per week. And as I said, that's our main focus off the back of the organic content. And then we got to look at, are we maintaining this? What are we doing in place to make sure retention is on point? Are we putting are we using review forms effectively? Are we using progress reports? Are we improving our people skills? Getting someone a result and getting them to do the work that's required to get the result, 2 very different things. So again, there's a lot of focus on this. There's loads of different strategies that I use with my clients to help educate them to increase their retention, because it takes the burden off acquisition and it makes this figure very achievable for people with not massive followings, people who are pretty early on to the stages. I've had people who've had under 6 months experience get to 10K. I think the best I've had is 9 weeks. Someone went from 1K to 10K in 9 weeks. And that was mainly off the back of their content. So again, so you don't have to have huge experience if you hit the nail on the head with the messaging there. And to be honest, if you're up and running with this and you have a few clients coming through and you want to reinvest that, I'd really explore actually incorporating this strategy straight in to kind of grow this portion. Okay, you get more people into the resources, you grow this more quickly, and indirectly, you actually grow the following, and then the following increases. And as the following increases, you know, statistically, you're going to get more people come through who are interested right now. That is essentially the difference between the paid route and the organic route. Massively hinges on the average lifetime that you have with your client base. Depends on the audience size and is the audience engaged. And when I say engaged, when you put a post out, how many people view it? If you look at the analytics, is the engagement rate above 1.5%? Do you know that the audience you've built follow you for the fitness content you're producing? And if you need help with that, I can analyze your audience for you and we can look into its potential, whether or not how engaged it is, or are people going to come through. But you can do paid. It's obviously more costly, more expensive, but you need a bit of experience in these skills. But it could definitely springboard you. But likewise, organic is just as good, and it's probably a lot more accessible. And again, once you optimize the back end, and then we have a bit of a system in place to give you structure and strategy with your content, 10K per month is very, very feasible. Anyway, that's it for now. Hope this helps. I'll see you in the next one.